How can a guy who was sitting at the pinnacle of college football, a Heisman winner, late drive winning, game-changing QB in college, fall off so bad within the matter of 2 years? Well, just like these guys before him, Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow, RG3, are just 3 examples of Heisman winners who did not pan out in the NFL. Johnny Manziel liked to party way too much. They tried to turn Tim Tebow into a running back and at one point a tight end, and RG3 was never the same after his injury. Now, even though these books are similar, the story could potentially end way worse for Bryce Young, because as of right now, people are trying to decide whether or not he is the biggest bust of all time. But even with this benching, there are a few guys in the NFL who survived their time in NFL QB jail. The Baker Mayfields of the world. I can go way back to the Jim Pluckett's of the world. Even the Steve Youngs of the world were all guys whose original situations were not favorable. And once they took their talents to new situations, they thrived. And right now, we have 2 QBs currently in the NFL who are trying to do the same thing. Sam Darnold, drafted by the Jets, labeled a bust, went to Carolina, then the 49ers, and now the Vikings. And even though the season is still young, he has them sitting at a good old 2-0. And to a lesser degree, we can throw in Derek Carr here. He was let go by the Raiders. Last year, a lot of people saw him with the Saints and thought that he was not going to make it. But as of right now, the Saints are looking really good and are at a good old 2-0. And ironically enough, when it comes to Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, both of those players played for the Carolina Panthers. And they're both sitting at 2-0 on the season. Sam Darnold just helped a team who is supposed to be rebuilding beat a playoff caliber team in the 49ers. But what about Bryce? As of right now, he was just benched for Andy Dalton. And this guy summarizes this situation perfectly. You don't bench your former first overall pick 2 games into the season unless 1, you're sure you're going to be moving on from him after the season, and 2, you think the locker room is going to lose faith in you if you don't make the change. Just a brutal outcome. And this comment right here is perfect because there is a third and even more important option right here. It says it's a door number 3, and it's that the guy owning the team has no idea what he's doing. And I think we all can agree on that. But as of right now, we don't know if he will get the nod again. The Panthers are supposed to be taking this year to see if Bryce is actually the guy. They must have felt like Bryce was broken beyond repair to pull the trigger this early, only 2 games into the season, after Coach Dave Canales repeatedly told us live.
Bryce is our quarterback. We're going to just continue to shore up and fix the things we need to fundamentally, from a scheme standpoint. All those things. These are all valuable reps. These are all valuable games. We'll learn a lot from this game, and hopefully we'll take another step this week.
The Chicago trade is looking worse and worse by the day, and I know Bryce Young hasn't looked good. I'm a Bryce fan, and it hurts to see this, but at the end of the day, the source of all the Panthers' problems still lie at the feet of Dave Temper, a guy who let go of DJ Moore, CMC, a top pick that could have been Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. looked really good the other day, and I know Caleb Williams has not looked good yet. I honestly believe Caleb Williams will improve once he adjusts to the speed of the game. He also missed out on CJ Stroud with the number 1 pick, but I bet you money and the house that I don't own yet that CJ Stroud is happy he didn't go number 1 overall, because Dave Temper has turned this organization into a disaster. Not to dissolve Bryce because he hasn't been good. Looking at his first 2 games, he threw for 161 yards and 2 picks against the Saints, 84 yards, and a pick against the Chargers. Not pretty at all. After that game, Adam Thielen went to bat for him.
Like I said, I love Bryce to death, man. He works his butt off. He's a great player. This is not a Bryce Young issue. This is a offensive team issue. We are all in this together.
Bryce Young's confidence looks shot. He's not even attempting some of the throws we saw in college. And now the buzz chants are rolling through the internet like crazy. And there was even one stat that blew my mind, but I'm not surprised. Through 583 career pass attempts, Jamarcus Russell, 3,626 yards, 7 TDs, 18 INTs, with a 68 overall rating. Bryce Young, 3,122 yards, 11 TDs, 13 13 INTs, a 70.9 rating. That does not bode well for my boy Bryce Young. If you had to say who is the biggest bust, the biggest disappointment at QB in NFL history, you would probably still give the edge to Jamarcus Russell. A lot of people even throw Ryan Leaf into this conversation. Both of those guys' careers are already over, and it's easy to give Jamarcus Russell this label because he simply did not take care of himself once he got to the NFL. But for a guy like Bryce, who many people believe has been put into a terrible situation, this is just sad. But when you see clips like this,
Thielen is open in the middle, wants that ball, hasn't gotten a pass today.
it's hard for me as a Roll Tide saying, crimson wearing Alabama fan to even defend some of this play. Now, we can't see the pocket to see if he even had enough time to make that throw, but we're going to talk about why that doesn't matter a little bit later. So stick with me for a second, because there are so many memorable moments like this 97-yard drive, a game that took 4 overtimes to win against Auburn.
Now throws late, fires near Brooks, in the corner, got it! Touchdown, Alabama! The other way, Mechie's in, Alabama wins!
How he held his own against Texas.
Young under pressure, first down and more.
His great performance against Georgia.
Plenty of time, airing it out, man's there.
And many more plays I thought I would see in the league that simply hasn't transitioned over from college. Where is that arm talent? Where is that confidence? Where is that guy who could throw the ball in tight windows? The NFL is simply a different animal, and maybe Bryce Young isn't cut out for it. He's a small guy, but Breeze did it. Baker is doing it. He doesn't have the best arm. Peyton Manning, after 7-11 neck surgeries, did it. But, I mean, that is Peyton Manning. But ultimately, the reason why Bryce is no longer the QB, at least the starting QB for the Carolina Panthers, is because of this. Bryce Young was pressured on just 4 of 29 dropbacks in week 2, the lowest rate of any starting QB.
This is something after I watched the film, I looked at it, had a thought. Ultimately, this comes on me, and my number one responsibility is to help the Panthers win. And so this move, I believe, puts us in the best chance to do that this week.
And so I see that, and I think to myself, it must mean that they believe that their guys that they have at wide receiver were wide open, and Bryce simply did not deliver them the ball. And as a Bryce Young fan, I still have hope that one day he will find a place to thrive and flourish. Maybe he should have been on the bench for a year like Drake May, instead of thrown into the fire enough for his confidence to be shot by a bad owner who continues to make horrible decision after decision. Is my hope of seeing Bryce Young play diminished? Yeah, but do I believe one day that Bryce will get another shot? I do, and I hope one day Bryce will find a way to get better from this. Get in the gym, get bigger, get smarter, read faster, and gain his confidence back. Because even though Dave Temper is a bad owner, ultimately the reason for Bryce Young's downfall right here is his lack of confidence. I've seen him read defense before and throw the deep ball. Look over NFL size linemen before. Does it always transition from college to pro? No. But for a guy who seems to put in the work, it's a sad way to go out. I hope he leaves the Panthers and light it up one day somewhere else. But even if I have to watch him as a backup from here on out, I'll still be the last Bryce Young fan left.